trend, unfortunately, is at play.
Why do the police let it go on right in front of them? Is it because of that bill that they passed? It made everything a misdemeanor?
We're now finding that homelessness is increasing, drug addiction is increasing.
Policies that the government is enforcing and promoting is the problem with homelessness.
So my next guest is a business owner in California. He says retailers are hurting because shoppers, frankly, feel uncomfortable going into the big cities. Don Sedgwick is also the mayor of Laguna Hills and a Republican who's now running for Congress in the 45th district there, a seat that is currently occupied by freshman Democrat Katie Porter. Good to see you this evening, sir. Thank you for coming in. Tell me about your experiences as a business owner in this area.
Well, I'm in the jewelry industry, and so one of the biggest hubs of homelessness in Southern California is right there by the jewelry district of downtown Los Angeles, so I see it quite often. And my heart goes out to these merchants who are already fighting against e-retailers like Amazon and others who make it so easy to just sit in your lazy boy recliner and make your purchases, and they want people to come to their brick and mortar stores. But I got to tell you, I have two daughters, both were married in the last 2 years. And to send even them, and I'm familiar with the area, to send them up there alone into that environment, I was very hesitant to do so, and I wouldn't do so. And so they're fighting against that, to go up there and to fight against being harassed by maybe a mentally challenged homeless person, to navigate through fecal matter in the sidewalks. I mean, who wants to go into that type of environment? You see these hardworking merchants who have been there for years, who are really suffering the consequences of very liberal democratic policies.
So, I mean, obviously every city wants to encourage business. I mean, most cities, are looking for incentives and ways to bring businesses into their city. What is the city doing about the problem that these companies are having? Because, I mean, I can't imagine that they're going to stick around much longer.
Well, the cities are going about it all wrong. In Los Angeles, they spent $600 million last year on homelessness. And the problem is they're focusing on just a handout and not a hand up. And the most compassionate thing we can do for these homeless, because it breaks your heart, not only to see the merchants, but also to see the homeless themselves. I mean, each one of these homeless people is someone's daughter or someone's son. And it just breaks your heart to see them in this condition. And when they're just given food and shelter, it's not solving the problem. In fact, the problem has escalated despite the $600 million.
Well,
and
we talked to Ben
need to
Carson
help them
about
become
it.
self-reliant.
I'm sorry. We talked to Ben Carson about it, and he said, these problems are so fixable. You need to have housing that is, clean and appropriate, where people can live and stay. He said they're doing projects all over the country. So why is it so difficult in the Northwest and in California to get your arms around this? They're trying to be compassionate, and yet this is not good for these people, obviously, who have to live on the streets in these horrible conditions.
The most compassionate thing we can do for them is to help them to become self-reliant. So we need to provide job coaching, we need job training, but that won't work until they're prepared for it, and many of them need mental health services first to prepare them to be able to respond to that job training, and sometimes the mental health services can't work until we can cut off the drugs. And this is another argument in favor of securing the southern border, because drugs are pouring through that and destroying our communities. And since marijuana in California has legally been introduced, legally, methamphetamines is the new drug du jour, and it's really cheap. So it really invades our homeless community because you can get a hit for $10 a hit. And so we've got to cut off the flow of drugs across our southern border so that we can provide the mental health services that they'll respond to, and then move them into job training and job coaching. And we can reverse the trend of homelessness. And it doesn't necessarily need to cost more money. We just need to focus those efforts on the things that really matter, the things that can really help them to become self-sufficient.
Big problem. It's heartbreaking on all levels. Don Sedgwick, thank you very much. Good to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
So in